Do you know that there is a Canadian company not far away from us that actually are involved in a few political events?
Really?
This is Felix. Hey!
Hi, it's Alfred. Welcome to 4 Decades Apart.
In this video, we would like to discuss about information warfare. The definition of information warfare is the manipulation of information trusted by a target without the target's awareness so that the target will make decision against their interest, but in the interest of the one conducting information warfare. The highlighted part that we have is manipulation of information.
Yes, I think we have to concentrate on a few words about manipulation of information. I think that's the horrible part, is that they do it without the notice of the recipient. They don't even know it is fault or it is manipulated. Well, we don't know how destructive it would be, but the whole thing goes on for the last 20 or 30 years. It's part of the psychological warfare.
So when information pops up on the internet, on the TV, we don't know if this information is actually true or not true, or is it targeted? What is it?
Sure.
You know.
Well, maybe we can have a few examples.
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely have we can talk about a few examples here. Before I jump onto the very first example, I have a question for you guys and for yourself. Do you know that there is a Canadian company not far away from us that actually are involved in a few political events?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's right. So that brings us to our first example, which is Brexit. Why this is an example that we talk about is because during this referendum, the Vote Leave campaign, they have hired this Canadian company to talk about to use some sort of social media tools to actually build a database and target a few voters that are not registered as part of the election and inclined to leave to vote.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're using social media to make them feel emotional about, oh, I need to vote, I need to vote leave, and things like that. Do you have anything else?
Yeah. Actually, I think the Leave EU group was so smart that they understand there are some voters who had never thought about whether leaving or not leaving. And they don't even vote sometimes. They just so-called silent minority. And these people, they use the big data to find out their interests, what they love, what they hate, and how they live. All this data, so they can target some slogan in their social media, is so structured that they eventually feel leaving EU is their best choice. It's of their own interest. Their famous slogan is "Take back control."
Right, take back control.
That slogan, I think, plays an important part of the whole campaign.
In fact, we got a lot of information about these events through a movie or film called Brexit and Civil War. There's a lot of really good information and really understand what's really going on before the voting day, and what are these two parties, Vote Leave and Vote Stay, they kind of approach their strategy and how they do that. And the Canadian company, Aggregate IQ, was a big part of it.
Well, I think we are proud of a Canadian company doing that. Huh?
Yes.
And I strongly recommend the audience to take a look at this movie. It's interesting. It's really enlightening and full of excitement. when you watched it. Any other examples?
Yeah, the next example that we have here is the U.S. president election.
Actually, in the last presidential election in the States, a lot of information about Russia, whether Russia has a part of it. And in fact, in 2018, the Congress have a committee set up to investigate this thing. And it is confirmed that Russia has actually did something through the internet to influence the voters in favor of Trump. So again, it is a very explicit example of how other countries can affect the political scenario of another country.
The manipulation of information to change
Exactly.
people thinking.
There's always, some silent voters. They haven't decided on which side they take, and that is the important, the decisive group that they want to target.
Right. So the third example that we have here is Twitter and Instagram. They recently deleted a bunch of accounts, and it has been discovered that China has adopted Russia's playbook for spreading disinformation on Facebook and Twitter and deploying those tactics in this increasingly heated information war over the protests that have been involved in Hong Kong, right?
I think even Facebook have the same problem. Eh?
Yeah, Facebook have the same problem, and in recent weeks, Facebook and Twitter accounts that originated in China act in a coordinated fashion to amplify messages and images that portrays Hong Kong's protests as violent and extreme, like they're violent and extreme. And the two social media companies said on Monday, and they're like, okay, we have to do something about it. We have enough of that, and they have to remove some of the accounts or disable them or whatever that is.
In fact, talking about Asia, I have a very, very recent example. I come from Hong Kong.
Right.
And talking about the recent protests in Hong Kong, it happened that on a certain day in July, there's a group of gangs dressing in white T-shirts, beating the passengers and beating the all guys in the subway station. And
that's horrible.
All these were shot down by various TV channels. Okay. The interesting part is that one media guy tried to compare the three of them, the three TV stations, how they present this news. And two of the stations just presented in a chronological order. That means from the beginning until the end. But the third station, he found out that this station tried to edit all these clips of the violence scene. Instead of on a chronological order, they have, just change the order of happening, change the time. So when you saw the third TV's news clip, you have a different opinion about the whole thing. And instead of knowing that the white gangs beating the people, you have a feeling that the passengers instigate the white gangs to fight. So it is really a typical example of how information are manipulated.
So just to really summarize what we kind of talk about as examples, like we're not only talking about fake news, like whether the news is actually true or not. It's more about how they use all these information. Like for the last example that you mentioned was they just switch the order or alter the order of the things happens to make it looks like that somebody else started the whole thing rather than the other party.
Right.
It could be just part of the truth, but it also could be fake, like entirely wrong, right?
Well, that is exactly the whole thing about Brexit. They didn't say anything really wrong about it, but they tried to inject something that emotionally that you would buy,
Right.
you would agree,
Yeah.
and then leading to the action to do something in favor of their interests. Well, when I talk about information war, it's not a war, but at least you can see if you know the technique of manipulating information, it can create tremendous results, unbelievable results.
Yes. Now I think everybody here actually start to understand, okay, how destructive or how much power information could really go into our day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And understand whatever that we're reading online or happening, people are talking and sharing between each other can actually change the way we think about a perspective towards certain things, right?
So how can we stop that? How can we prevent that happen to us?
So we prepare a few examples, right? How to handle and identify these kind of fake news or information that coming into the internet or just share across us, right? And the very first point we have is understand the source of information.
Oh yeah, sure. That's an important part of it. Yeah.
So when it comes to a piece of information saying like, oh, this guy did this, or some news coming up, and we should really have a mindset of understanding where this information actually coming from, right?
And from who?
And from who? And how do we do that?
Well, one obvious thing is have something called fact check. You check the fact. In the market, there are a few websites which are very, very popular to check out certain facts.
Right. So there it is. I mean, we have a few ones that we know that is it's legit and it's good. We have FactsCan, Snopes, FactCheck.org, and Hawk's Slayer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right? So they are the website that information has been verified against, and they have truth in certain things. So we can actually go online, and when it comes to a piece of information that we're not sure, okay, is it true? Is it something? Then you can go to
whatever you have doubt or question mark about that, check it.
Check it. That's right. So what other easier way to just be better on understanding whether this information is biased or fake or so on?
Well, I would say the first step is that whenever you receive a piece of information, you have to really think about it, whether it is an impartial one or is it one-sided. You have to identify that. Mm-hmm. And I think the other very important thing is just don't cut and paste and share to others before you're really sure that piece of information is real or true. Mm-hmm. And that stops this kind of miscirculation of information.
So be skeptical about that.
Skeptical.
Be really skeptical about the information. Really try to understand, okay, is this true? And really understand, as you said, just extend to what you said, understand the big picture of the whole thing. Like, do you only see the one side of the whole thing? Or is there any other information that you can check against?
Sure. I mean, you can compare different sources, newspaper, magazines, even your friends. They may have different opinion about certain things. So check it before you really, take it for granted it's true.
Yeah, we also have, a few more that we think it's also very good to be brainstorming about when these information coming in. For example, is the article or that piece of information making you really, really angry or emotional about certain things? Because when it comes to a piece of information that make you really angry, emotional, it might be a strategies that people are using or the media.
There must be some kind of motive behind.
There's a certain motive behind. They want you to think in a certain way. They want you to think in a really one-sided way rather than allowing you to see the big pictures.
Okay, actually there's one thing you can use here as a benchmark. If this information never cited the source, never cited where it comes from, then you better be careful because you don't know where it comes from. If there's something saying, giving out the source, then you can check the source. If everything looks good, then you can believe it or you can trust that it might be true. Yeah.
And I think extending to that, right, like when you are sharing information with others, also be transparent about where you get that information from.
Yeah,
right?
quote the source.
Quote the source, where you get that information from, so that the others, when they receive that piece of information, they could do a similar fact check and actually understand whether that information is true or not, right?
Yeah.
Do everybody a favor, do yourself a favor.
Yeah. And don't pollute the air.
Don't pollute the air. I like that. Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much, that's something that we wanted to talk about in this video. And at the end of the day, I think it's our responsibility to not only understand the whole big picture of things when it comes to news, when it comes to a very political events or some violence events that's happening around us, and have others to also do similar things so that we could be as objective as possible, not making decisions out of emotions, out of
reflective actions.
reflective actions. If you guys have more examples, comments that you guys want to share with regards to this topic, let us know in the comment below, and we really want to engage with you guys to understand more about how you think about information warfare. You guys might have a different side of things that we don't know about.
Sure.
So yeah, that's it for this video. We appreciate that you tune in again. If you like what we're doing here, if you like this video, subscribe to our channel for our upcoming videos and hit the bell so that you can actually get notification that when our next video comes out, you can get a notification about it.
And don't forget
to share it. Right.
All right. Let's
have a last cheers.
Cheers. And bye-bye.
Bye.